Hey everyone, it's Robin here from Soapery, and today is a big day for me. I don't think I can explain to you how excited I am for today. I've been working on something big for about 3 or 4 months now, probably a little bit longer than that now. And it's kind of been put on hold a couple of times, but I have been dropping little breadcrumbs here and there on Instagram. So for those of you who have been waiting for it, you can now get for yourselves your very own copy of the Soapmaker's Journal. Now, this is not what it's going to look like when it arrives to you. This is my proof copy that I have been using for the last couple of months and making tweaks and edits, and I've had a handful of soap makers who I dearly trust using it as well and helping me know what I want to do to edit it. And we finally have all of the final edits in, and it is available. You can get it in hard copy or paperback, however you like, but I do prefer the hard copy because when you're working with your soap, it lies flat, which is definitely something that we need. We don't need any more moving pieces when we have soap batter and lye solution hanging around than we already do. So simplify, right? Anyway, I wanted to take today to talk to you a little bit about what you can get in this notebook. It's a super helpful tool because it combines all of the things that we normally do as soap makers into one organized book. And you can note when you're using the book right here on the spine. So if it's going to be Q1 or just 2022 or the first half of 2022, you can go ahead and note that there. And then just use this journal to design all of your soaps, to keep all of your recipes in one place. And when you're done using it, you just put it right back on the shelf for later use. There it goes right there. I'll use it later. But we're not going to use it later, we're going to use it today, right now. So I wanted to guide you through what the different parts look like. It does have a handy table of contents, and you can use that to flip to whatever portion of the book you want to get to pretty immediately. And the book itself is designed with 3 separate portions. The first section of the book is called Development. And within Development, you're going to have the ability to write all of your soap recipes into these soap recipe pages and keep them in one central place. And in the final copy, I do believe that there are 16 pages that you can use with different recipes. So you can play around quite a bit there. This section also has a portion where you can write down all of your experiences with particular fragrance oils. You and I both know that when you're using a billion different fragrance oils, if you don't jot down exactly which one accelerates and which one discolors, next time you go to use it, you might use it and be like, oh, this happened to me last time. Why didn't I note it somewhere? Now you've got a place to note it, and you'll always be able to go back and figure out which fragrance oil you liked the most and which ones you'll never use again. You also have a section for colorant notes. So any micas, botanicals, soap dyes, pigments, oxides, things like that. You can note them all in here and see how they perform in soap, jot that down for future self, and know which ones you're going to use again and which ones you despise cleaning up after. Then we've got a section of the book where you get to jot down all of your designs that you wish to do. So this is just one page in the book, but it gives you the opportunity to write down like, oh, I saw this technique. It's called the sunflower seed technique. It's not a real technique. But you can jot it down here and you can see who made it, right? And then later on, when you're thinking, oh, I'm so bored, I don't really know what I want to do, you can go back through all of your design wish lists and figure out which technique would work best for the design that you're going for or for the fragrance that you're using, and you'll be able to go back and find it again. And then lastly, we have the color playground. This is going to give you the ability to play with all of these different color palette wheels and decide what proportions of your soap you want to be which color. It also has a note section next to each of the color palettes so that you can say, oh, I think this yellow is going to be Lala from Mad Micas, and I think this blue is going to be Blue Vibrance from Nurture Soap. That way when you look at the color palette, you can have a good idea of where you want to go as far as mica or colorant goes before you even get started with your soap. And this is a great way to play around if you just want to like mix colors together and see how they look. Some of them might be hideous, but some of them might be really beautiful, so play. The next section is the development section. And within this section, you're going to be able to use the guided work pages to design your own soaps. So within these pages, and they will be slightly different in the final copy, but it's basically the same, you're going to have a section where you get to color in what you want your bar to look like. There's a list here of all of the different techniques, many different techniques, there's not all of them. And the reason I put that here is because sometimes you just have soaper's block. You know, sometimes you just don't know what kind of design you want to do. And looking at a blank page can be overwhelming. But looking at a page with a bunch of bubbles that you could color in, you can choose one of them, sort of like a menu. That's a whole lot easier and it gives you a starting point. So you can go through all of the different options for the techniques and check off which ones you want to combine maybe, or which ones you want to try for the first time. Maybe there's even a technique written on here that you don't recognize. This is a good opportunity to go check it out and see if it's something that you'd like to do. You can write notes to yourself about how you think you're going to create this design. And then you can also transfer over the palette that you created in the color palette playground and note which colorant you think you're going to be able to use for it. Also, there's a spot for the top treatment, so if you're going to do piping or a swirl on top or just leave it flat. And for your fragrance oil and any notes that you might need to have for the fragrance oil so that before you get started, you don't forget, this one accelerates. And in the final book, the design pages, there are lots of them, so you're probably not going to run out. I designed this thinking about somebody who makes soap once or twice a week, or 1 or 2 batches a week. And I mean 1 or 2 new batches a week. So you should have enough pages in this book to last you at least 6 months to a year if you're one of those people who makes brand new designs once or twice a week. Now the third section of it is reflection. And it's not just reflection, it also helps you track. I've got a curing rack tracking page in here, so you can note all of the soaps that you've finished, when you cut them and put them on the curing rack, when they're going to come off of the curing rack, when they're going to be released on your website, any notes, quantity, and final weight. So you can keep track of all of that, and anytime you're wondering, oh my gosh, what am I going to release this month? Which soaps are ready? You can just go to your curing rack page and find which ones are going to be cured in time for your release date. And there you go. We also have a section in here for soap fails. We all have them. They suck. We want to avoid them as much as possible. So a good way to avoid a soap fail is to really think about, how did this happen? Here were all of the variables in this experiment, and here's how I think it failed. And that way, next time you use that fragrance oil, or you're soaping at that temperature, or you're using that particular recipe, you can look back and say, oh, it happened before like this. I should have learned my lesson. Next time, I'm not using that fragrance oil, or I'm using a different soap recipe. And then last but not least, we do have some just very basic journal pages. So if you need to take any notes, you can definitely do that back here at the back of the book, and there's probably 10 to 20 pages there. You can use them for whatever you'd like to use. I am so excited for you guys to get your hands on these. Please, 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 if you do, let me know. I want to hear all about how you're using it. And I want to give a quick shout out to the 5 wonderful people who helped me review this book, who helped me proof this book and gave suggestions on what was going to be good moving forward. So Jazz from Rogue Mafia Grooming Company, Layla from Mad Soaper, Abra from Lustration Soaps, Krista from The Wild Elephant, and Lisbeth from Holy Grail Organics. Definitely check these ladies out. They're extremely talented, very thoughtful, and I trust them with my baby. So if this sounds like something that you might like, you can head on over to the link in the description box. You've got the option between hardcover and paperback, and they're very reasonably priced. They are selling through Amazon, so if you have a Prime membership, you should be getting your book within 2 to 3 days, 1 to 3. You can get it pretty fast with Prime. So if you have Prime, go ahead and order and it'll be at your doorstep pretty immediately. If you don't like a physical book, but you do want to have these tools accessible, I am going to offer a PDF version of this on my website at a discounted rate, and you can bring those PDFs onto your tablet or iPad and go ahead and color on there instead of onto this physical paper. It's completely up to you. I completely understand. I like digital copies of things as well, but sometimes I really like an analog version. And for soap, that's what I prefer. I'm filming using my phone, right? My phone is always filming whenever I'm making soap. So if I have notes or a design that I have to refer to, it has to be physical and laying down on my countertop or on the station that I'm at. I'm sure lots of you have tablets and things like that, and so you don't really need to have your notebook next to you, but I don't have a tablet. I've got a notebook. And if you use a tablet instead of a notebook and you use that while you're soaping, like, good on you. If you just want to have some worksheets, definitely feel free to hit the link in the description box, head on over to my website and purchase yourself all of these templates that you can use on your own in your digital device. All right, that is all. Next time I see you guys, I'm going to be doing a Q&A of a whole bunch of questions that you guys asked on the Instagram. It was meant to be the next video that came out, but this got approved and I wanted to share it with you guys sooner than later, so that pushed the Q&A video just a little bit further back. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for joining me on this journey. I am overwhelmed by the support, and I don't even know what the word is. I'm overwhelmed by how lovely you all are. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Until then, be well.